everybody, welcome back to the Crit House. I'm Jeff Larson, and we are continuing our My Five series here on the Crit House, and we are here with Sean Sullivan, who is a Boston-based fine art photographer. He's been on the program before, where he participated in one of our critique sessions. So, Sean, it's nice to have you back.
Yeah, great to be back, Jeff. Thank you.
How do you talk about yourself as a photographer? I called you a fine art photographer, but like you do long exposures and you do light painting with some of the images, at least the ones that I've seen. What do you say about yourself? Who are you as a photographer?
Well, like you said, I'm a fine art photographer. I have a series on classic cars called Classic Style. That's what I'm mainly known for, but I'm trying to branch out more. Night photography with the light painting, long exposures, taking night photography into the city with cityscapes.
Like, what did you go through when you were deciding on the 5 images you were going to choose? So, I mean, did you go back to your history? Did you go, like, what determined your 5 images?
When I thought about the 5 images, I thought about my formative years, which would have been in college. And so that's where I learned mainly about all these photographers. And I have all their books. I collect a lot of photo books. When I was in Northeastern, I had Neal Rantoul as one of my photo teachers. And he was big into black and white back then. He didn't start doing color until I left school. So when I found out Ansel Adams did color images, I mean, that was mainly me. I'm all about color, and like 99% of what I do is color, and like the other 1% is black and white. So I got the book out of my local public library in color, and I was like, wow, this is great. And so I know I went into Northeastern Photo Lab one day, and I saw Neal, and I said, Neal, I think Ansel Adams is a better color photographer than he is black and white. And he just smirked and he just shook his head and he's like, no.
I can see Neal doing that. Let's call up that image. Let's take a look at it. So I mean, I knew he had taken some images in color, but I don't think I ever saw his book. So this, you thought you said to Neal, the legendary Neal Rantoul, that you thought he was better in color.
Yeah, and if you look at these images, and they would totally work in black and white. I don't know, this book it just resonates with me, and just every image I looked at through the book, I'm like, I could definitely see Ansel, crushing this out of the ballpark with black and white. But like you look at an image like this, and it's just amazing. It looks like neon in a plant form.
So how did this affect you? Like you saw this in color. Did this just sort of reiterate that you're a color guy?
Yeah, definitely. I got my first camera when I was 14 because they had a dark room at the high school I was going to, and I did for like the one class, and then I was just like, this isn't for me, because it was all black and white.
Yeah.
They didn't have the facilities for color, and that's what I wanted to do. So when I got to Northeastern, I was a graphic design major, and the prerequisite was you had to do intro black and white, intro to color. So I did intro to black and white, had Larry Volk, great guy, that just kind of rekindled, probably just his teaching style just really, helped me fall in love with photography. And then when I had intro to color with Tom Petit, the late great Tom Petit, I was just enamored. I was like, this is what I want to do.
Your second image is black and white.
Yeah.
Herb Ritz.
Yeah. Do you remember when Herb Ritz came to the MFA? It was the first show I saw like that, of like a real heavyweight photographer. So I went to this show like at least 3 or 4 times, and I love this image just right from the jump. I love how her hair creates a shape that's also kind of like her shoulders down to the torso. It's almost that shadow of the image.
It mirrors it.
Yeah, mirrors it. And at first I was like, oh my God, is she in the middle of the ocean, like on a sandbar? And then I saw the wave. I'm like, oh no, she has to be closer to shore. it's just the whole mystery, who is she,
Your third image you referred to before, Michael Funk, who did some things with color. Tell us about this?
I don't know if I saw this image before I was doing what I was doing with, the filters and the double exposures and everything, or afterwards, but I was just like, oh, wow, this is, exactly what I'm doing. But it looks like he did his in Photoshop. I was doing mine in camera.
Hmm.
And I discovered his work through American Photo. That's where I discovered him. He is like a master of Photoshop, and he was doing all these collages. He lives out west, so he did a collage of San Francisco, and he would like drop one building into a place that you would never find it, and just create these amazing skies. And I was just like, wow. And I can't do that even now in Photoshop, so I do like everything I do in camera.
You're continuing with the color with Mr. Turner in your fourth image.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, Mr. Turner. Yeah, I've gotten all his books like at the library, and bought a couple afterwards. He is the epitome of like a color photographer, and just some of them, he'll have like the zebra out in a plane, and that was just like sandwiching negatives. I think all of his is done in camera, or just like in the darkroom. There's not much Photoshop manipulation. So I was really impressed with his stuff. He went over to Africa and photographed all those great scenes. And I know he did some work with Epson, and that kind of motivated me to get an Epson. And he liked the Epson luster paper, and that's what mainly I print on.
Hmm.
So he was a big influence on me.
Yeah, I can see that actually with your color images as well. And then we finish with the icon Albert Watson.
Yes, I was able to meet Albert
There
Watson.
you go. All right.
Yeah, he came to the PRC in 2007.
Hmm.
I think I said at the time, I find him to be at the same level as Richard Avedon. And so I have his book, Cyclops, the little book. They have a bigger version, but this is what you can buy now. This image, I love this image. Anything to do with water, I like. So, the Herb Ritz one I liked because of that.
Yep.
And this one, and the chrome, I love the chrome. It reminds me of the chrome from a car. And just the water droplets on the side of her face, how sharp everything is.
It does have a feeling of some of your car images where you shoot the chrome like that. I can kind of see how that little piece of it would have affected your current work. Well, these are great images. I'm so, first of all, again, had not given much thought to the Ansel Adams color image that you had shown before. I was not familiar with Michael Funk, so I'm glad to hear that. And it's always good to see a Pete Turner image as well as Albert Watson. Sean Sullivan, thank you for your input. It's nice to hear your origin story and learn a little bit more about you and your work. If you are interested in coming on the program, please go on to Instagram and use the hashtag #My5 and then tag us at the Crit House, and you possibly could join us as well. Thank you all for watching the Crit House, and Sean Sullivan, thanks for coming back on the Crit House. It's nice to have you on.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.